We ready? Good evening. Let's call in order the May 6th, 2026 City of Chubbuck Council meeting. Welcome those that are with us in the audience, those that may be participating remotely online. Glad to have you with us here tonight. Council, is there any conflicts of interest before we get started?
No.
If none, then will we please follow Councilmember Hernandez in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council and those that are watching today, we do have a proclamation associated with National Tennis Month. Melanie Daw is here also as a representative. I'll read the proclamation. We'll shake her hand and give her that proclamation, and then invite her to spend a minute or two at the podium to address the council as appropriate. So the proclamation reads, whereas on May 21st, 1881, the USTA, originally known as the United States National Lawn Tennis Association, was founded in New York City, New York, to create rules and standards for the emerging game of lawn tennis. And the USTA is a nonprofit national governing body for tennis in the United States and leads the promotion and growth of the sport at every level of play, from beginners to professionals at the US Open. And the USTA is the largest tennis organization in the world with over 550,000 members from every corner of the country. And the USTA proudly partners with local tennis programs to showcase the important health, social, and educational benefits of tennis and make the sport available to everyone, regardless of age, environment, condition, or ability, through its USTA adaptive grants. And the latest research by the Physical Activity Council shows that more than 27.3 million Americans played tennis in 2025. That is an unprecedented 6.2% increase in participation over the 2024 and the highest number of players since the PAC study began in 2007. And by increasing the accessibility of tennis for citizens of the city of Chubbuck and all ages of abilities, the USTA has contributed to making our community happier and healthier. And the USTA has declared the month of May as National Tennis Month to encourage players, organizations, facilities, retailers, tennis manufacturers, and more to promote local programs and activities at parks and facilities to showcase tennis and spread the word about the sport and its benefits, and to help players and non-players alike find courts and play opportunities in their communities. Now therefore, I, Rodney T. Birch, Mayor of the City of Chubbuck, do hereby proclaim May 2026 as National Tennis Month, and hereby urge the citizens of Chubbuck, Idaho to become aware of and support National Tennis Month.
Yeah, will you? Thank you so much. I wish I was fancier, sorry. Yeah, that's great.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. And yes. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Do I go, I face you guys this way? I just, on the behalf of Idaho Tennis and USTA, I want to tell you guys, thank you so much for doing this. It's a huge boost for us, for awareness for the community. It just, tennis brings communities together and keeps us healthy. We think the city of Chubbuck has been amazing. We use Capo tennis courts all the time. You guys have been such great partners for us. So we just want to tell you thank you, and thanks for issuing this proclamation so we can keep tennis going strong in our communities. Thank you.
Melanie, I was so excited about National Tennis Month that I'm already off schedule on the agenda. We jumped right to the important stuff. But council, if you would please backtrack with me and entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our April 15th, 2026 meeting.
I will make a motion that we approve the minutes of the city council meeting and the city council study session from April 15th of 2026.
Motion and second, any discussion? No. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Reese,
Yes.
Councilmember Heiner,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Yes.
Thank you. Let's move to general business item number 1, which is an approval of the Mingo Shops preliminary plat, finding of facts and conclusions of law. Mr. Ward, are you presenting today? Please.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you. Stuart Ward with Dioptra, 4880 Cloverdale here in Chubbuck, representing the applicant and developer for the Mingo Shops. You might remember this a few months ago. This was before you as a 3-lot subdivision. Things have changed with as the developer and us were going through construction plans and some requirements for extension of water that required some extensive work out in Yellowstone. And instead of doing that with the cost of that, they decided to just go down to 2 lots instead of 1. So the new shops also goes to 2 units instead of 5 units. That's another change. But they will use the existing water service that the existing home is using, but we will still stub a new sewer service. Other than that, the boundary and other improvements are all staying the same. Improvements along Yellowstone and Mingo, dedication of right-of-way of Mingo, all that kind of stuff. Other than that, everything else is exactly the same as what was previously approved a few months ago. So, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
So as far as parking stalls are concerned, the same number, you can have the same number, or they're going to decrease or increase?
Parking lot number is staying the same. So number of parking stalls stays the same, even though we went to 2 units instead of 5. Yes.
Okay. And what about the staff recommendations and the conditions? Are you okay with those?
No concerns with those. The one that talks about the existing well or potential well house,
Mhm.
that well is abandoned, and so that structure will be demolished. The other two conditions, no problems.
Okay. And so you,
Parking stalls going?
There's on the far west side, there's that low gravel area. There's some parking there, and then you see the ADA parking.
Mhm.
And then there's two other parking stalls or some big areas like right in front of what would be the big overhead doors.
Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
Um,
So that that stays clear.
yeah, and
That's
then
what-
the existing home,
No parking on there.
oh yeah, and then the existing home will use that kind of handle looking parking,
Okay.
double decker parking stall right there.
Okay, gotcha.
So you are getting rid of that abandoned well, right?
Correct. It's been abandoned per IDWR and the structure will be removed because it sits in the middle of the new building.
And you got that cleared with IWR as well?
Yep, we have the paperwork.
That's all I got.
Yep.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions, of the applicant?
No.
Sean, staff?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Sean Harris, Development Services Manager. The preliminary plat for Mingo Shops has been reviewed by staff and is compliant with Title 16, 17, and 18. The Land Use and Development Commission recommended approval of the plat at its regular meeting on April 14th, 2026. Staff recommends approval. If approved, recommend approval of findings of fact and conclusions of law with the following conditions. First one is that all accessory buildings, sheds, barns, garages, etc., must meet building and lot line setbacks. If existing structures do not meet the setbacks, they must be removed. Number two, the small existing shed shown located in the 60 by 40 shop appears to maybe be a well house. If it is, the well will need to be abandoned in accordance with IDWR, and we have received that paperwork. And the last one is lot 2R not be split without going through the City of Chubbuck plating process, at which time water services will be required for each lot, which may require extension of water main lines.
Thank you, Sean. Council, any questions of staff?
You don't have a problem with them, with the way they're gonna get, as far as the well's concerned, there's no
No.
problem with it being capped and. Yep. Okay. That's all I got.
There's no other questions, would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary plat for Mingo Shops, including the findings of facts and conclusions of law, along with the recommendations as proposed by staff.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Roger. Any discussion on the motion? Joey, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Heiner,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Yes.
Councilmember Reese.
Yes.
Great. General business item number 2 is an approval of the Reflection Ridge Division 2 preliminary plat and the findings, facts, and conclusion of law. Which one of you would like to speak?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Ryan Satterfield, representing Harvest Springs Joint Venture, 3363 Iron Bend in Pocatello. We are excited to be here to have our second residential phase of our Harvest Springs development, Reflection Ridge at Harvest Springs 2. And so that's what you have before you. The focus of this development, there's a lot of similarities from our first phase and this one. One difference being is that we are moving into try some twin home product. And so many of these lots are set up for a twin home type structure. The idea being a focus on affordability, as I think everybody is aware of, trying to create some more affordable housing. Our first phase, we've moved through pretty well at this point and just have a few lots left. And so we'd like to get this one out there and be working on it and get some more homes in that area. One of the conditions that was discussed there, we had a discussion with land use about the water rights pertaining to that area and the putting in an irrigation pump with this phase. And so as you read through those notes, you'll see that it was recommended previously that that be delayed until our next phase. And that is due to the fact that there are no water rights associated with the land where this development is. And as we move further to the east, that's when we enter into those areas where there are water rights. And at that time, we'll be able to turn those water rights over to the city of Chubbuck and then install a pump station and be able to pressurize the irrigation system. We will be putting in dry lines with this phase so that that is all set up to go just as soon as we do the next phase and have that pump going. I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are.
The only questions I got are just, are you good with the recommendations from staff and so forth?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's all I got.
Council, other questions for Ryan?
No.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Sean Harris, Development Services Manager. Staff has reviewed the preliminary plat for Reflection Ridge at Harvest Springs Division 2 and find it compliant with City Code Title 16, 17, and 18. Land Use and Development Commission recommended approval of the plat at its regular meeting on April 14, 2026. Staff recommends approval. If approved, recommend approval of findings of fact and conclusions of law with the following conditions. Number one, the final plat along with supporting documents be submitted in accordance with Title 17 of the Chubbuck Municipal Code. Number two, a secondary pressurized irrigation system be designed and constructed with this division while the irrigation pump station be deferred until the next division. And the third one, the stormwater retention pond be designed and constructed such that recurring levee bank failures are addressed and the pond will serve its intended purpose without additional ongoing construction and repairs. The pond will need to remain large enough to handle stormwater from both Division 1 and Division 2.
Council, any questions for staff?
So, on the secondary pressurized irrigation system, that's not going to cause any undue hardship on anybody involved with the project? Okay. And that's all I got.
Other questions?
No.
Would entertain a motion, please.
I move to approve the Reflection Ridge Division 2 preliminary plat and the findings, facts, and conclusions of law, including the recommended conditions of staff.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Joy, did you get the second?
Yep.
Any discussion on the motion?
No.
Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Yes.
Councilmember Reese,
Yes.
Councilmember Heiner.
Yes. Yes.
General business item number 3, the approval of, is it Eva or Eva? Eva Heights preliminary plat and finding the facts, conclusion of law. Brennan, are you the spokesman?
Brendan Dye with Knutson Engineering, 444 Hospital Way, Suite 527. We're here seeking approval on the preliminary plat for Eva Heights. The name has changed a little bit from the address on Chubbuck Road to Armstrong property, but it's the same Armstrong Trust that is the applicant, the Lamar Revocable Trust. And we're here basically seeking approval for this preliminary plat on a ZDA that was previously approved about a year ago that most of the council members should remember. And it follows the same layout, the same configuration, same private drive as the layout associated with the ZDA that was approved. The only difference is this is showing more of the required items on the level of a preliminary plat. So there should be nothing super new here. So if there are any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
I do actually. One, towards the northwest side of it, you got lot 18 and there's that roundabout there. Because I guess my concern on that one, is there something blocking that road or is there going to be a house there?
On the west side, you said?
Yes, on the northwest side, if I'm reading this map correctly.
Yeah, it
Lot
would
18.
just be a dead end of that road. That lot 18 actually is not part of the private drive.
Okay,
It would be provided for storm retention.
all right. I'm just wondering if that, okay, I'm good.
But also to add on to that, it does meet the requirements for a fire turnaround. It doesn't exceed
Mhm.
the limit to require a hammerhead or any kind of roundabout.
Okay. That's all I got.
Other questions, counsel of the applicant?
Oh, just one more. Are you good with the recommendations?
Yes, yeah, we understand that another access, if developed, that property to the west where the Kaziska house currently is, won't have its own access. It'll have to come off this, what do we call it? Kaziska Drive. So, understood.
Thank you.
And you have plans for a pump station?
We do have plans for pump station. There's a little teal colored box there that'll pull off of the ditch and supply the pressurized irrigation.
Agree with that? Brendan, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Before we start, have you all seen a copy of the new application that was submitted?
I don't think I have.
Yeah, I got it.
For the record, that we needed it to have all three successor co-trustees sign.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have got that updated, and we just want to make sure we've seen it for the record.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I did.
Sean Harris, Development Services Manager. The preliminary plat for Eva Heights subdivision is compliant with city codes titles 16, 17, and 18. The Land Use and Development Commission recommended approval of the plat at its regular meeting on April 14th, 2026. The staff recommends approval, and if approved, recommend approval of findings of fact and conclusions of law with the following conditions. Number one, the final plat along with supporting documents be submitted in accordance with Title 17 of Chubbuck Municipal Code. Number two, secondary pressurized irrigation system, including pump station, be designed and constructed utilizing Fort Hall Irrigation Project irrigation water. And three, the access on Chubbuck Road for this development, which is Kaziska Drive, will be required to be used for access to the parcel located to the west at the time of any future development. A separate access to that parcel from Chubbuck Road will not be allowed in accordance with the city's access management policy. A separate agreement specific to these parcels, tax ID number R3853006308 and R3853006304, will be required prior to finalizing this development. Depending upon the type of development of said parcels, upgrades to the approach street, Kaziska Drive, may be required.
Counsel, any questions for staff?
So city's good with this?
What's that?
The city is good with
Yes.
standards? Okay.
No questions, counsel? Seeing none,
No.
would entertain a motion.
I'll move that we adopt the findings of fact and conclusions of law and approve the preliminary plat for the Eva Heights subdivision with the conditions recommended and set forth by staff.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please, Joey.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Yes.
Councilmember Reese,
Yes.
Councilmember Heiner,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans.
Yes.
Agenda item number 4, general business, is the discussion and possible approval for an amendment to the master development plan for the North Side Crossing Creative Community. Project encompasses approximately 195 acres of land with a mixture of residential and commercial development. The subject property is generally bounded on the north by Tyhee Road, on the east by the Highline Canal, on the south by New Day Parkway, and on the west by the Union Pacific Railroad. Mr. Liu.
Well done. Thank you, Mayor, council members. Good evening, staff. Matt Liu, representing the development team of Pioneer Capital Ventures. What we have in front of you is a amendment of what has been previously approved, Northside Crossing Creative Community Zone. What we've decided to do as a group on this additional property on the 195 acres is to take what is existing as far as what is approved and do an overlay with your comprehensive 2045 plan. And our design ideas have kind of fallen in line to some of the goals, some of the vision that was mentioned in your comprehensive plan. Specifically healthy connections, 3.2, 3.3, and 3.4. livable spaces, 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, and 4.4. Economic and educational opportunities, 5.1, 5.2. Environmental quality, 6.1, 6.2, 6.3. And community service and safety, 7.1 and 7.2. Again, this is an amendment to a concept that we feel with this market and this current stage that is in, and as well as our future forecasting, that would bring some needed services as well as some housing and more of a centralized area for the community, not only in this specific development of Northside Crossing, but Chubbuck City as a whole could gather and feel like a gathering place or like a second downtown. So that was kind of our goal with this submitted amendment. We have looked into the current zone, and there is nothing that we are presenting that is outside the current approved zone. So there's really no deviation from what has been already approved. Any questions?
No.
So what percentage, I'm sorry, what percentage of housing to commercial do you have on this?
So in the current approved Northside Crossing Creative Community, you got 1,400 units that's currently approved. I believe what is under construction or active phase right now is just under 100. We are looking at probably 12 to 1,250 as far as residential units. And then we've got an increase in commercial retail and potentially restaurant and employment due to the proposed 10,000 seat arena. Obviously, it's a bigger venue than maybe what was previously presented and approved. So to exactly answer your question percentage, I am not sure. Okay. It's just what we've added is substantially more commercial retail square footage than was originally approved.
Okay. That's all I got, so.
Council, other questions of Mr. Liu?
No, I like the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
It seemed like there was a lot of heartburn in the land use meeting from landowners about the first phase being marked complete. When it's not complete, have we?
We've addressed
Okay.
that. Again, it was our error because those spaces was with the original developer. And again, we just kind of completed it. That's kind of not one, that wasn't part of the 195, but it's actually in active development still. So everything that's been completed as per city code, and Sean can kind of correct me if I'm going down the wrong path, has been met. And if you have any specific question, we also have Mr. Yost, Mr. Lynn Yost, that could address those questions as well. But as far as our visit on the Planning Commission, Land Use Development Commission, we did have opportunities to visit with the residents after the meeting in the parking lot. It was a good meeting. The parking lot wasn't anything crazy. It was fine there. And then Mr. Yost has also spent extended amount of time visiting one-on-one with those property owners.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was my concern. It's just felt like there was a feeling that they were being abandoned. And you're moving on to a new phase with bigger and better things. And I just wanted to make sure that there had been something figured out there. So.
Yeah, our conversation with them is as we are successful in doing the amendments and doing our financial tools that we are presenting at a future meeting, that their concerns will not only be addressed, but with the vision and the amenities we're proposing, it'll be enhanced. And timing is key with them. That was part of their concern. We will gauge our development as far as the rollout and the timing of the development, and we'll work really closely with city staff to make sure that what we do not only helps the development, but also goes hand in hand with the responsibilities that the city has as far as revenues and generating revenues and timing of those revenues being generated. So we're looking at a really positive and long partnership, not only with the city, but also with the residents currently.
Other questions for
Thank
Mr. Liu? No. Thank you, Matt. Don, please.
Hi. Sure. Don Matson, Planning Manager. I can tell Joey's got the volume up on this microphone. The Land Use Development Commission did have a public hearing on it was last month, 14th. The commission did hear public testimony. It was unique that we had two people speak in favor, 3 spoke neutral, and 4 spoke against the proposal. That's more than we usually have in a meeting, but met all 3. The plan is before you, as Mr. Liu said, partly because of the increase in the commercial space. That's one of the main reasons, I guess. The rest of the plan is for your information and approval, but that key feature is the increase in the commercial space over what the code defines as it's more than a minor deviation. The commission did unanimously recommended approval of the plan. There were a few conditions and recognizing that increase in the commercial or non-residential square feet. And then staff had 2 minor conditions. One was to mark the areas that in the existing projects as under construction or what was the word we used?
Rather than complete, to be
Yeah.
identified as.
We had
under
it in-
construction.
Yeah, instead of incomplete, it's marked as under construction. Thank you. And then also a reminder that access to the single-family homes wouldn't be allowed onto any of the arterials. That's decided in the plating process. And then for commercial and multifamily properties, that's usually done through a design review process on where their access points are at. And it meets all the standards and conditions of our code for creative communities and for the updates in a typical zone. So staff does recommend approval as presented.
Thank you. Before we ask for questions, Don, I'm for clarification for the council, there's really, it's one agenda item. There's 2 things occurring here, isn't there? One is the potential approval of the master development plan, but we're also seeking council's approval to amend the geographic area of the creative community zone. Is that correctly?
That happened when in 2 phases. One was when we established Northside Crossing. There was a parcel that hadn't yet been purchased, and that was a conditional part of it. So this would clean it up, the next action. So the action today we're asking for is approval of this concept plan. And then staff will bring back to you an amendment to the code that just takes care of that boundary, because that's in the chapter 4 Northside Crossing, and also a resolution amending the comprehensive plan. So those are,
That code changed for the boundary is a future agenda item.
yeah, so that'll be just 2.
Would be an ordinance, and so yes.
An
we'd have
ordinance
to
and a
approve the
resolution,
ordinance.
one of each. So this today is approving this plan, and then we'll come back to address those legalities, so based on this approval.
The approval of this would still require a resolution that amends the comp plan and an ordinance as well.
Council, questions for staff?
I had similar concerns to what Councilmember Evans about the angst or whatever you want to call it in the other proceedings. And one of those points was a concern about traffic volume. My question is, I see in your approved conditions, number 2, is that in part intended to address those traffic volume concerns?
I can look that up, but generally, the entire project was done evaluated with the traffic study. We did not require one for this update to the concept plan. Then that would be, the project is really moving the hub where it was kind of two kind of central areas for commercial places in the old plan. Now they're concentrated on the north. The only increase is really from that event center, which would have access directly from Harvest Springs and Tyhee Road, where they converge with Highline. So that would, that's going to have the least amount of impact on the rest of the neighborhood.
It may be helpful to realize that the traffic concerns likely came from residents that, I'm looking at the map, the upper right-hand map there, that light blue color is the current access road into what we all declare as phase one or the piece under construction. But the main roadway through this development is actually Whitaker Road, which is represented in red, is not built yet, so it likely relieves some traffic concerns off of the current phase. Other questions for Dawn?
Sorry, where's Whitaker at?
It's the red line through the,
This one.
yeah.
Currently not built.
Okay. Okay. I'm tracking with you. I mean, this plan is a lot more dense. I feel like has a lot more density in multifamily housing and commercial than the first plan did. So that would, the traffic, I feel like is a concern. Just because, I mean, I don't know, it gets tricky a little bit when you're mixing residential and commercial, but some of the things that are on this plan, I don't want to move forward saying, oh, I think it will be okay. I think the traffic will be fine. I mean, those are the things that a traffic study would address, correct?
Correct. No, again, great comments and great concerns, and that has been one of the concerns, well, a couple of the concerns from the folks that are there. When you do a project, like this, whether it's, here or any other municipality, there are definitely requirements and codes that a project must adhere to. One being traffic and making sure that traffic flows. That's where the traffic studies will come into play. And that will be part of the review process with staff. If there's some tweaking that needs to be done to meet code, then we will make sure that that is done during that time, during that discussion with staff as far as that review process. But yes, everything that would be built per code and per traffic rules and regulations and requirements.
A traffic study normally is something that is done from an outside entity, correct?
Right. And there's actually two levels. I forgot to mention the second one. One was for the entire project up front. Then with each commercial or multifamily project, there is a traffic study to make sure it fits in with the original traffic study. And if it's increasing, then there are conditions placed on it or more participation in a future project. So we revisit it with each individual project. So when the event center does come before us, as staff will review it for a lot of details.
So I'm thinking your concern is what level? And is it the city reviewing that? And is there a private traffic study or traffic engineer that's doing that? We're open to whatever we need to do, whether it's a combo.
Concern is we start the project with the roads the way we've got it set up, but we don't start with the event center or the hotel and so we don't have the traffic study done until after all those roads have been put in and after all those things are already in place. And then we can't, I mean, then we're trying to play catch up. So
No, yes, great concept and great concern. Traffic engineers and traffic studies, they would look at facilities like this and take numbers from other facilities and match those numbers potentially of what could happen here. So they would project the numbers as per national standards on what those uses normally would bring. And then they would adjust or reflect, how does that pertain to the development and the current residents there. But we are,
We are doing a traffic study that you're talking about right now?
we will be doing a traffic study with what we're proposing with the commercial side, absolutely.
Is that a requirement that we have on this?
Yeah, with each project, it will require run through on the traffic study. The
I understand that, but I'm talking about looking at this as a whole and looking at what the plans are and like he said, comparing it to other places and making sure that we put the infrastructure in place to handle what they want to build there.
Right. And this is very similar to the original street layout, and it was done at that time. So we can evaluate it some more with, especially with the projects. Is this still going to fit in? It could go through a modeling and a full traffic study. I think Bridget would like to add a couple things. Okay.
Okay. And I just think with even though the street layout is the same, the buildings, I feel like allow for a lot more density. And we've got to make sure that's planned for. So I would feel comfortable moving forward if that traffic study were a part of it, the approval to make sure that roads that are being put in are wide enough, that there's enough parking space. So I just think we need to revisit, well, maybe not even revisit, but visit that and make sure that it is able to handle I want you guys to be able to develop what you have here. It looks really awesome. I think it would be an amazing thing. I just don't want it I don't want to not put enough infrastructure in the beginning and then run into problems down the road.
That's totally understandable. And really on our end, if it's not a successful flow, then the project's not as successful. So we've got to make sure that we take care of bringing people in and moving people out as smoothly and as efficiently as possible. So that's definitely a concern with us. And obviously, if it's not saying that it is, we would still do it anyway. We will still do a traffic study just for our peace of mind.
Okay.
Can I add there, and I may need to default to Bridger and Don some, but those studies are typically done by outside consultants, paid for and funded by the development team to the standards that we expect and have the ability to approve. So Bridger and his team spend a significant amount of time reviewing those to make sure they meet our expectations. One of my questions, if I may, Council, on your behalf with Bridger, what do you think the timing of that should be relative to and Don, maybe you weigh in here too, the timing of the traffic study, should it be a condition of the master development plan approval or a condition of the first preliminary plat or whatever that is, but still looking at the entire project? Do you have an opinion? Okay.
I have an opinion.
So we would do that. We should do that now.
I
Okay.
think we need to do it up front. I
Correct.
feel like anytime
We feel
you
the same
cut
way.
it into pieces,
Yeah.
stuff gets missed.
It's a little different when you're just doing it as a residential development because we kind of all understand what that might look like and feel. But when you're proposing, a large event center with commercial uses around it and a hotel, it'll be done as part of the first submittal.
Actually, I got a question as far as, if you look at Tyhee and Highline, now, they're supposed to be widened, I assume, because of the size of this project. Are those streets going to be done first, or are they going to be towards the last bit?
They would have to be done with to build a connection to, say, that event center. The a wider Tyhee Road does have to be built there. And eventually it'll replace, Tyhee Road will still provide access to, can't remember the last two streets on there. But it would become a branch off of Tyhee Road. So they wouldn't deal with that heavy traffic.
See, it was Moonglow and Manning,
Manning,
thank you.
Thank you.
They're gonna bypass those two, right? From
Yeah.
what I see here. Now, as far as connection to Yellowstone Highway, do we have clearance for that with ITD? Do we know?
The specifics on Tyhee would probably stem from what would come up in the traffic study.
Okay.
And if there's some downstream things that they would require some participation on. But it, it's not on their site, so they're not, wouldn't be 100% responsible.
Okay.
And then just for information's sake, Highline is a 80-foot right-of-way
Mhm.
and Tyee is a 66, just for gauging purposes.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember, was this, Lynn might remember, was this property, are all the utilities underground, including along Highline?
I believe they
Are
are.
Util-
all the utilities underground? It
Well-
seems like we had a conversation. I can't remember if it was.
Or the utilities underground?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, yeah, we don't have any above grade utilities whatsoever. I think it's also important to note that the amendment or the request tonight is just to amend the master development plan. That in reality, when we start talking about traffic studies is when we start talking a preliminary plat. When we're actually requesting a specific roadway, when we're actually requesting a specific, whether it be an arterial, minor arterial, or collector, connector, or otherwise. So at that point in time, I think that's the greatest time to discuss phase by phase. So if a phase happens to change, it would be no difference than how we have the creative community approved at this point in time. It's just a master development plan. It's proposing kind of moving that downtown district a little bit further north. If you notice where the hub kind of just changed, we always had that in there. It moved forward, it moved north about 450 feet. Everything that's being requested was envisioned in the master development plan. And I guess it's my opinion that that's when we would do the traffic studies as we ask for those particular phases to be approved. And so we're addressing the very specific needs at that point in time, rather than just a general need right now that could and potentially change. If that helps anyways, that's, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd be comfortable with both, maybe. I
Well-
don't think, I don't know if I'm comfortable with changing the plan. And I know it's just a plan. I know it's not a plat.
Right. No, I think that's what's the key point is. This is just a,
I understand that, but you're asking for us to change it, and I think there's some real concerns that will be alleviated if there's a traffic study done up front to make sure that the infrastructure is laid out how it should be. If there's changes to the plans down the road as you go phase by phase, then I think that's something that can be addressed at those times, but
right.
I'd be hesitant to start into the project in one phase without looking at the whole thing and saying, all right, you're gonna need this, 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 and this.
No, I totally get your concern and that I think we had a total of 18 phases originally planned into our development plan. And at that point in time, the discussion of traffic studies was done, especially along now New Day Parkway. And it was decided at that point in time, that we would look at each phase individually and make sure that the roadways that we're proposing are the appropriate roadways for what's being requested. Well, again, once it be a minor arterial versus a collector or connector or otherwise. Most of those roadways, quite frankly, haven't changed from the original plan as far as the structure and the size of the roads. I'd have to go back and audit it to the T, but for the most part, it's really just moving that hub a little bit further north with the same sort of vision of how we were going to move traffic through the roadway, trying to stay off a Highline Road, use Harvest Springs or Tyhee Road Extension, whatever that road ends up being called, utilizing Whitaker Road as the main corridor. It's a 120-foot arterial roadway to really move this significant traffic back to our main roads like New Day Parkway all the way up to the roundabout there up by the exit. So not much has changed on that I know of. I could be proved wrong, but I don't know of anything that's changed with respect to the original traffic strategy.
No, I understand. Well, the hub has moved, but I also feel like with what you're proposing here, the density is going way up.
For commercial density or for residential density?
Both for the multi-housing and the commercial.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, I think our residential potentially is coming down slightly, isn't it? Yeah, it's actually, I think we're in 18.35 of the code, we're zoned at 1,400 residences. And I think the plan at this point in time is what, 1,250?
So it actually is coming down about 20%. Now, I totally get your point, Melanie, with respect to the commercial. The commercial, which kind of creates different times of the day type traffic patterns. And I think that's where studying that on that phase, when we attack that and making sure that we have a master plan that works and consistent, not just north side crossing, but it needs to work in connection with Harvest Springs and some of the other roadways that are already in existence. And so anyways, I think that's how I would respond to that with respect to density and otherwise.
If I could clarify on the housing, the code allowed from a certain number of housing are supposed to be there to maintain the density, but not go over 1,400 is the max in the code section. So this concept would increase it's still very close to the middle of that range, which was from a lower number up to 1,400. So it's not a significant increase. 50 out of 700, an increase in the residential. The big change is really in that non-residential space. Julie, if you'll go down a few pages, there are pages that compare the old map and the new map side by side.
How many phases are you planning in this project?
Right now, 3. It could be 5. We broke it up, but right now the concept that we're presenting is 3.
And I know timelines can change, but
That is something that we are probably flexible with some different things that the city is, how do I say, committed to as far as state funding and when things are triggered and how long you can utilize some returns from sales tax or property taxes or whatever. So we will work closely with the city as far as timing. And then can I just add one more thing, if I could? One of the great things about being a team, we've got experts on our team, which I am not as far as traffic. We've got our design architect, that's part of our team, and she can kind of explain a little bit on the traffic and how we came to the design that we are presenting tonight. Because it looks like a better flow.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. My name is Krista Aitenschau, and I'm a licensed architect. I will not claim to be a traffic engineer. However, I have been involved in a number of large developments across the country. And one of the things that you may notice if you were to compare the plans side by side, there has been a revision in terms of the layout of the plans. We're much more grid-based in what I'll call the south and eastern portion of our layout versus what the original plan was. And part of the reason for that is that by creating a regular grid, you create more outlets, more turn opportunities for folks to get to where they need to go. Additionally, there are 2 roundabouts that have been planned in the plans, in addition to the very large hub circular mode of transportation. The entire intent is that the arena is an anchor, and we want to make sure that folks can ingress and egress from that space as quickly and reasonably as possible, because we recognize that there are going to be high flow traffic events. And then there's a central shared parking area as well between the proposed hub downtown corridor and the arena. So the placement of the facilities, the amenities, and the transport between them has all been carefully thought out in terms of our proposal for the concept. And I absolutely support that our team wants this to be a success. I would not undertake a project that we did not have a large traffic plan study for, the entire master plan, not just one phase, not just phase 2, not just phase 3, all of it at once, because our intended approach for the infrastructure design is that this all gets designed in one large plan, if you will, and then it will be parceled off as needed for individual residential plats. But we're gonna take this in big chunks. So I hope that helps.
a quicker plan, probably.
It is intended to be a much faster plan, and luckily with the ability of our team to put together different capital stacks, We are anticipating taking much larger bites of this project at a time, which will help facilitate some of those concerns. If you're doing it in 18 phases, God bless you, it would take a while, and Lynn know that, right? The faster that we can get the infrastructure designed and installed, the sooner those concerns are ameliorated. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council, other questions or discussion?
Nope, I'm good.
I think it's, there's only so much that we as a city council can do. If the city ordinances are complied with, then that's the end of what we can do. Of course, it sounds like there are procedural safeguards as we move along, that things can be tweaked as needed for safety and traffic concerns and that sort of thing. And I just want to tell Mr. Liu and Mr. Yost, I appreciate their working with residents that are there, trying to, address their concerns. I don't know that we can do anything about those, and so that's why I appreciate those efforts. I also want to tell you that looking on page 68, I was very pleased to see that you're going to be doing this, adhering to a dark sky initiative, because that's very important to me, and I think to most of the council here, if not all. We love development. We want to see this happen, and yet we want to preserve, the things that make our community attractive to people that want to come here. So I appreciate that.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand. I feel like I'm gleaning from you guys that you are good doing a traffic study for the whole project, right? Okay. Okay.
So-
Does that need to be added to this motion? Okay.
You could add that as a condition before any plating process. I mean, it sounds like they're gonna do it before that anyway, so.
It does look like it's a big floor plan there, as far as traffic is concerned. I mean, if I remember the other one correctly, the other one's, no offense, Lynn, but the other one's a little bit more convoluted. This one, to me, the traffic looks a lot more cleaner.
Yeah, this is better to me.
I think it looks great. I just want to make sure that we can accommodate what is going in. Yeah, okay.
They want this to work more than we do.
Maybe in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Tag, you're it.
Does anyone have anything else?
No.
Okay.
Can I just add, and maybe Ryan can chime in here, this approval does require a resolution that we do not have
It's not prepared tonight.
prepared tonight, so
And an ordinance.
those should be also added as conditions to any,
And add those conditions that this concept plan requires later adoption of a resolution and an ordinance. That's condition.
Okay.
which we can do as just a business item at the next meeting. Those documents are just not prepared today.
So if I was gonna make a motion, how would you help me word that?
Based on the discussion that
Yeah.
happened here,
With the traffic study?
With this
Correct.
traffic study and with this ordinance and the
I
resolution?
assume what you're meaning is conduct a traffic study and comply your development with the requirements of that traffic study. Is what, okay, I mean,
Master, at the master plan phase, not individual phases.
well,
It's a condition of this approval.
as a condition before there's any application for any plat.
Or a plat,
Okay.
because that's where we would
Is
do it.
that what you're asking? Does that make sense to the development applicant? So I don't think there's a lot to say, except I think your motion is to approve the application for an amendment to the master development plan for Northside Crossing Creative Community as presented with the conditions set forth by staff on page 2 of the staff report, as well as a third condition that a traffic study be completed prior to any plat application, and that all plat applications comply with the requirements and recommendations of the traffic study, and that an ordinance be approved as required, and a resolution changing the comprehensive plan be later adopted. I think that's all the conditions that everybody wanted. Don, anything else?
Bill, are you okay with that?
Any other?
I think so, except the traffic study is condition, you said prior to the plat
prior to
application.
any plat application.
But if the plat applications come in smaller chunks, then what's?
We won't accept the application.
The-
They have to study the entire
They have to
project.
study the
before they
entire
make
project
application.
Before any
plats.
plat application.
The traffic study would the traffic study would, yeah. And the condition on the traffic study would require that it be a traffic study for the entire
Entire development.
project, the entire, amended master development plan.
Okay.
So is that
Yes.
for you, applicant? Okay.
Okay.
So moved.
Make the motion.
I move as so said.
Joey, you got that?
Okay,
Yep.
and I'll second.
We have a motion and a
As
second.
per-
Any further discussion?
Ryan, you'll
before
be able
vote?
to put that in writing, right? Is that motion okay that way?
Yeah,
Okay.
Joey's got it recorded. He can make
Okay,
it happen.
perfect.
We'll get it.
Okay.
And yeah, yes, I'm good with that.
No other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Heiner,
Yes.
Councilmember Reese,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Yes.
Thank you. Council Agenda Item 5 is a presentation of the 2025 Annual Report from the Chubbuck Development Authority. For those of you who may not be aware, Councilmember Heiner also serves as the chair of that board and will present that report to us today.
Do I need to state my name and address?
Yes.
Yes, Dan Heiner. I am the chair of the Chubbuck Development Authority. My address is 5185 Tree Valley Road, Chubbuck. Every year, the Chubbuck Development Authority is required to present the annual report to the city council and the mayor, and that's what I am doing right now. Basically, just kind of go over the summaries of this. I don't know, did any of you get a copy of this?
I think we did. didn't we?
No, if I-
Joey says, he's shaking his head yes, that you got copies of it somewhere.
It's not in my packet.
Was it emailed to us separately, the CDA report?
It was in there. It was in your packets.
It wasn't in my packet, but I have mine prior to this.
Our packet.
I think I have it.
It's probably on the online version, but the one
Yeah.
that came out,
Anyway,
I thought I printed it. Maybe I didn't.
I guess you're gonna have to explain.
go
it to
word
me.
by word.
well, I'm just gonna cover the highlights on here.
Didn't?
Basically what happened during the year. Resolution 2022 or 2025-01 was passed accepting the eligibility report for the proposal for the new urban renewal area, which was subsequently approved with a resolution on August 19th of 2025, approving the urban renewal plan for the Yellowstone Corridor District, which that has been established at this point in time, and we're moving forward. We had our,
And can I stop you for 1 second?
yes,
I want the display to catch up to where you're speaking.
okay.
There's the
I'm-
resolutions passed right there.
I'm on
Okay,
page 3, yes, right there.
thank you.
Okay, so that's where we are. And so that's basically kind of what transpired for the most part during the year. We have 2 or 3 urban renewal districts outstanding, the Pine Ridge Urban Renewal Area Plan, which was established in 2016, and we're familiar with that. That has, coming about, and they kind of bonded out of that and so they could have the funds, and then it is being paid. All the revenue that comes in from that is paying back that bond. And so that is progressing as normal. The Pine Ridge District generated $194,741 in increment. And that is what has gone into that. 15,000 is set apart. That was part of the agreement that comes back to the CDA for administrative expenses and things like that. So that's where they are. Northside Crossing, which we just talked about, that project right there. In the calendar year 2025, the CDA received approximately $242,686 in tax increment revenue, and $179,218 was reimbursed to the developer for some of their expenses.
Then the Harvest Springs Urban Renewal Plan was established in 2021. And during calendar year 2025, CDA received $46,815 and $25,409 of that was dispersed to the developer for reimbursement expenses. And then, as I mentioned, the Yellowstone Corridor Urban Renewal Plan was just established in the end of mid-year 2025, and we're moving forward with that. And so that will take some time before things get developed and go forward. So that's the urban renewal districts that are outstanding. The CDA, excuse me, has property that is being dispersed was in 2023. The CDA commenced a statutory disposal process for some of these properties, and we had the properties that are still owned right now are 339 East Chubbuck Road. That is on the corner of Chubbuck Road and the railroad tracks, which that building was there. It is burned down. We actually had made an agreement with the developers, I guess, or somebody that would buy that property. But since that building burned down before it was transferred over, we had to start the process all over and getting another appraisal on it and going through. We've got RFPs out for that right now. And we've had discussions with that same individuals, and they'll probably rebid on this. Another property we have is what's called the Chubbuck City Hall subdivision lot. That's kind of what's on the east and the west side of the city hall here. And part of that property, we had a proposal on that, but that, excuse me, one of the, I guess, part of the financing on that thing fell apart, and so they backed out of that deal. So we're actually got both of those properties in the works again to put them out for an RFP and get those disposed of. And then we had one property or a piece of property over here, which we're familiar on East Linden, and there's on 211 East Linden, 208 Evans, 206 Evans, 162 Evans, 152 Evans, and 140 Evans, all there. And that is being started developing right now. And we've got a not racquetball, it's a pickleball, indoor pickleball court that is in the process of going up. And I just made an inspection on that today and walked through that, took some pictures, and just for our board, and things are starting to, come together. It's not as fast as they wanted, but it's coming together. So that's basically what has occurred within the CDA for the last year or so. And part of this report is our financial report. It's audited by Deaton and Company, and we had a clean audit. And basically, that is the report I have for the Chubbuck Development Authority.
No.
All right. This is an action item. We do not have to accept it. They have the statutory responsibility to present which they fulfill. This is agenda item. So agenda item number 6 is a general discussion about the fireworks. I hope it's going to be led by Cheryl.
Yeah, we just wanted to bring this to the council, see if they had any questions or concerns. We had a little issue last year. We've kind of reviewed this with legal counsel. The only recommendation that staff has is we'd eventually like to add something to this code that if somebody does wreck their facility early, or they don't tear it down within the time that we have something to base that off of, to know what to do or handle those situations. We are going to bring that before the council this year. Legal counsel suggested waiting till next year to give our fire chief a little time to get his feet wet. So anyways, we had somebody that has multiple locations throughout the state. They threw 2 up. about a week earlier than city code allows them to. We got complaints from the other firework stands and said, hey, they're not in compliance. So we reached out to them and said they need to tear it down. They didn't have their staff to tear it down, so we fined them last year and just let them know that if they did this again next year, that we would either be a larger fine or we would not issue their license and allow them to open their facility.
Remind me our date range.
So we let, they
can set up starting, I believe, June 22nd. And then after they pass, inspection from fire department, they can start sailing, they can start the sales, June 24th. And sales go through July 4th to 11:59 PM is when sales must cease. And they have, I think it's to the 6th or the 7th. To take down the stands completely.
So we have a shorter setup time than Pocatello, but we offer them 3 extra days of selling that Pocatello doesn't offer them. So they set up a day or two before they can start selling. So somebody's there every day manning it, watching for vandalism, making it part of the community versus just something that's vacant, being an eyesore. So we have, like I said, we have a little shorter time, but we allow them more selling days. But then we give them more time at the back end. We give them more time to tear down than Pocatello does. And so it kind of, we've never had an issue until last year was the first year we had any. All the other stands that I've talked to, they appreciate having the more selling time and less concerned about when they can set up, and they appreciate the little extra time tearing down. So
That's
my
what I
daughter,
You're requesting that we change the dates?
no, our recommendation at this point is we feel like it's a good code. We feel like it's served the city well. Like I said, it helps our police because they set up and they're there selling, somebody's there manning it. You know, it becomes more part of your community versus a vacant building that just sits there for weeks and weeks and nobody's keeping an eye on it. Our only recommendation would be to add some sort of penalty to that code if they don't meet those requirements. Right now, there's nothing that directs us how to handle those situations.
And we're currently not asking for a change. We're asking if you are interested in us considering a change.
Actually, I was thinking that, but, you know, with Joy's explanation as to how things are going, and I didn't know about the extra days of selling and all that, and where we're at and the extra time in the end. So I wouldn't,
necessarily want to extend timeframes.
I'm not either interested in it. They can work it around.
And so Joy, whatever miscommunication last year happened, are you comfortable with the, saying that it's been resolved and it most likely won't happen with the same vendor, or?
We have been in communications with the vendor. We made it very clear. We gave Alexis, when she tells them that their license has been approved, her email has the specific dates of when they can open. We think what the confusion was the grandmother got the email, but the daughter and son set it up. And so we think there was some miscommunication on their end. Alexis has been in contact with them today. They've issued their to open, and I think we will be very clear with them. These are the dates that you can open up.
And they're okay with that?
Yeah, so, this specific fireworks stand and the owner for that, they have a good understanding. These are the specific dates specific to Chubbuck. In our conversations with them last year, also in an email that she sent, I believe in March, February timeline, she expressed part of her original confusion, part of her issue currently is different cities throughout the state of Idaho, they all have different timelines where you can set up this date, sell this, and take down all that. She, part of her problem was she said, okay, Chubbuck is this specific day, Pocatello, for example, is different. It's hard for us as we have stands across the state to memorize those dates and don't accidentally set up early, things like that. So that was part of her thing last year. She said that's why she set up earlier than she was supposed to, and then she didn't have staff available to disassemble the stands. So this year she does have a very good understanding. I don't think that this particular vendor would set up early again because she does know. But then she did voice feedback as far as she feels it would be more beneficial for the firework vendors stands to be allowed to set up prior to June 22nd.
Yeah, it looks like she has a request in email
Yeah.
that they be allowed to be set up between June 10th. Oh, June 10th to July 12th, which is customary in her industry. I don't know if we need to respond to that request.
There's an email from me in response to that, just letting her know that we appreciate her concerns. This is something definitely that there's no way we could adjust the code this year if the council wasn't even interested. This isn't something that could happen till 2027. And so I think we've addressed that. We've kind of explained to her different cities have different, their community expects different things. And like I said, Pocatello gives them more time at the front end, but they give them less selling days. We give them more selling days and more time at the back end. And so I feel like our code's kind of meeting in that middle. And this is the only vendor that we've had any complaints from. The other vendors, like I said, like having more selling days and an extra day or two to tear down at the end. But then it doesn't become an eyesore of your community either.
No, I agree with that. I mean, the way I look at it, looking at the code, how can I put it without sounding like a total jerk? I don't care what other cities do. This is what's good for us as far as the city is concerned. You know, so we all have schedules. We know what we need to do. I mean, she needs to adjust her schedule.
Cost of doing business for sure.
You know, not to sound like a total jerk about it, but it's on them.
So if I might just chime in, this is not an action item tonight, but it's before you because there was a request and we actually had an issue last year. And I think it would be good for the chief to kind of run through a year of how this goes and how the approval process goes. And just like Chubbuck has a different fireworks schedule, we also have a different zone. We have different zoning standards than Pocatello, as developers might know, and we have different policy, and one's not right and wrong. So the fact that one city does it one way isn't necessarily a reason to do it that way. I think the bigger issue from the standpoint of council, and I think maybe what Joey's purpose in having this on the agenda is that you study the firework ordinance and see if you would like it put on a later agenda for further discussion. But there's also not a provision within the ordinance for dealing with non-compliance and what happens if they do violate that. And so maybe we could get some input from the chief on how that is handled, because it's just an old. So I think the purpose is maybe put some thought to what you might want to do from a policy standpoint.
Like I said, we just kind of gauge the council, see if you had questions, concerns.
Are the sell dates set by the state?
The outer limits are, yes.
The state shuts fireworks sales 11:59 on the 4th. Their open dates are roughly, I think the day we say you can start is when the state says you can start. So we're giving them the full states.
So they're just requesting more
time to set up.
Heartburn over the setup.
Yeah.
Setup.
The setup and takedown.
And takedown.
Yeah.
And then, just to add another clarification point to the one fireworks vendor that did send in the email, they had also mentioned, the fee that the city charges. We charge a $25 fee for their license part, a $100 fee for the fire department to do their inspection of the stand at the physical site for each stand. And then so she did mention that in her email as well, that she, in her opinion, felt that Chubbuck's fees for that are higher than other municipalities. But one thing I did notice when looking at other Idaho municipalities and their fees, we label our fees a $25 license fee, a $100 inspection fee. Other cities have similar fees. The total is similar to ours, but they do have them labeled different. So they might say, well, this city charges us a $30 license fee, but their total is closer to what ours is. They just call, what we call one fee, another city may call it differently.
Gotcha.
Yeah. They want us to cater to whatever they're doing.
How about news, Scott? Well, the only thing just reading the whole thing, I mean, like you were saying, they want us to cater to their needs. In this case, I'm not prone to look at that. I am prone to looking at, like you guys were talking about, have they torn down in time, or the fees, or what kind of fines we can do after that? Because like some of these stands are really rickety. I mean, let's face it, they're rickety. They're just basically slapped together. It's like, hey, look, a stand, and no.
And from the history that I read, that's kind of why the city didn't want them just sitting there vacant for weeks. It was a burden on the police that they had a kind of vandalism and things. And so the city, from the history, they didn't want it, they wanted it set up closer to when people were going to be there every day, manning and watching and taking care. And when it's kind of part of the community, because when they're open, you know, it's festive and it's part of the community. And then and so that's why the windows were set when they were.
Yeah, and I can see that, so.
But where we've only had one complaint, one vendor complaint, I think we're probably good to keep going as we are. I don't see a need to necessarily change anything.
Yeah.
Have more vendors come to you with complaints about fee prices or any of those things? If you'll just keep us in the loop,
We can do that.
that would be.
Yeah.
Don't want all the complaints Joey gets.
No, we don't.
I'm just
Just in
kidding.
regards to
I'm
the
just kidding.
fireworks.
Policy related.
We'll just keep it status quo on this thing for right now.
Just if it seems to start popping up a lot more, then I think we do need to revisit it.
Okay.
And look at some other cities and maybe see if we can equalize it a little more, but I think we're probably good.
Okay.
Does anyone feel differently?
Sounds like the direction, because that's all they can give is that the
Yeah.
council's good with this, but I
Just stay status quo at this point.
talked about maybe exploring,
Fines.
yeah, and maybe after the fireworks season, chief.
Yep. We'll meet with chief and see if there's any suggestions.
Sounds good.
Okay. Similarly, agenda item 7 is a discussion on temporary vendor and public space vendor licenses, also driven from unique concern from one vendor.
Very similar. We just wanted to bring this, see if the council had any questions, concerns. The only suggestion that we have as staff is we feel like it could be beneficial to kind of like our public space vendor, have something under the temporary vendor that allows like sidewalk sales or a farmer's market on private property. We don't have anything that encode it for that. And so that's the only thing that we could kind of see. There was an email, obviously, that complained about the fee. Looking at other cities have a similar fee, but again, like she said, they put them in different categories. We have one fee. We have a business license fee of $150 and that's it. There's no other fees associated with it. These temporary vendors do typically take more staff time, does take more phone calls. The reason why the council at the time set it a little higher versus like a brick and mortar, it was kind of their impact fee on resources. I mean, these vendors come in, they have access to the police, they have access to fire, they're having an impact on sanitation, they're having an impact on streets. And so the brick and mortar companies at the time is like, hey, you know, we pay property taxes, we pay these other fees. We don't feel like these vendors should pay the same business license that we pay. And so that was kind of the concept between a brick and mortar and a temporary vendor license.
Okay. So, what's the comparables with other cities? Do you know?
pretty close. Like I said, Pocatello doesn't charge anybody a business license fee.
Yeah.
They got rid of it a long time ago. I know it's a decision that they greatly regret, and they are working to try to figure out how to bring that back.
Mhm.
Like legal counsel has said, once you get rid of something, chances of getting back are very slim.
Yeah.
So they don't charge a business license fee, but they charge like an annual fire inspection fee of $50. And they do have other licenses throughout their departments that go towards that these vendors have to pay. We didn't look into it deeply, but just kind of looking, you're looking about $100, $125 to be doing business. Like I said, we charge one fee and it's good for 12 months. They don't have to renew it. If they get it in June of 25, they don't have to renew it until June of 26. So I mean, they have a whole year. And cost of doing business, you're gonna write it off at the end of the year type of thing. So
Can I ask a big favor?
That's a pretty small cost.
Yeah.
it is a minimal cost. We feel like it's a minimal cost. And like I said, it typically takes Alexis more phone calls, more emails to get a hold of these temporary vendors.
If I can add, comparing, so what the city of Chubbuck charges for our temporary vendors, and also to give some context, our temporary vendors, those include our food truck, those include a lot of our vendors that are not brick and mortar, that are also like contractors, construction companies, things like that. Too. So you might have another city, for example, city of Boise. If we had like a vendor here, they're comparing how we have labeled temporary vendor, they see that's 150. If they're comparing to Boise, and this vendor specifically talked about their food truck, city of Boise has it labeled as a food truck permit as well. But so for us, for the city, we have that $150 fee for all our different temporary vendors, and most of them are our food trucks. And then for our food truck ones, we issue those for a 12-month span.
Can I ask a big favor on that one? Can you give us comparables? For example, what they would pay as a food truck for Pokey, and just email me or email us, because I know Ryan and I know he's going to ask me that silly question. So I want to be loaded for bear. So I can answer his questions.
You guys want because this specific email is that's up there is talking more specific to the food trucks, for example. So are you wanting comparables kind of for the food truck?
Just the food truck.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that's very specific, and and like I said, I know the guy, and he's going to probably ask me that question next time I see him. So, and I want to make sure that I can justify why we're doing that.
Yeah.
For example, like it's the same thing we had a few years ago with the builders. The fees we charge compared to Pokey, compared to Twin Falls. Different fee structure, but they were paying almost the same amount.
Yeah, it's just the way that the different cities label
And that's what I want to do.
label the different fees and they put them in different categories where we just have one.
Do we have this fee, it covers them for a whole year, but what if you have a vendor that only wants to come do one event?
And that's sorry if I can jump in.
No, you're
That
good.
kind of with this email, and that's kind of what this email kind of was prompted by that. In specific to the food truck park that they're trying to do there by Patriot Square on East Chubbuck, the organizer of that event has a couple food vendors that want to come for maybe a handful of times throughout the summer, because they're going to be at other locations, or they're just themselves are a small vendor. So that is kind of what had prompted this, is she had vendors. So currently we're requiring all the vendors that are attending that food truck park to get their temporary vendor license with us, to file their documents with the health department, all the required things that we've been doing. So that's kind of what prompted that, is that that organizer relayed to us that they have smaller vendors that don't want to pay the $150 because they don't feel like they'll get their money's worth. And then so that is kind of led to the conversation of that event organizer for the food truck park asking if we would consider creating something for organized events. So if there's a reoccurring organized events, or even a one-time organized event, the event organizer would take on the burden of the fee, whatever that fee ends up to be. They coordinate sanitation services, they make sure parking will be fine, they take on the burden of that, and they're charged just one fee, and all the vendors that are gonna be at the event falls under their application, under their license. And then the organizer makes sure that they are meeting whatever city requirements we want them to. Similar to how we have utilized the public space vendor agreement when the farmer's market was here at City Hall and city property for two different summers.
We
That,
didn't
so
work
that's
with
kind
the
of the only
farmers
area.
market. We didn't work with each individual vendor.
Mm-mm.
At that public space vendor agreement was utilized in that case, so I believe her name was Ellen at the time that had led that farmer's market. The city worked with her. She completed the required applications, provided liability insurance, paid the fee. And then she organized the vendors that would physically be there at the farmer's market, and she managed all of that. So those individual vendors weren't necessarily communicating with the city as far as, that the farmer's market was more in charge of that.
That sounds reasonable.
And that's really like, so we created that with the public space, but we don't have anything like that for private space.
For the food trucks.
Well, for any event, sidewalk sell,
Yeah.
I think
Raising Cane's grand opening type, we don't have, and as staff, we feel like that's the area that we could improve this area of code. Not necessarily address the business license or the temporary vendor license, but to improve that code for organized events or sidewalk sales or things like that that are gonna happen on private land that we currently don't have.
I definitely think we
anything.
should do that.
Yeah.
Study a couple
Get it
other
done.
cities and how they do
So-
it, and
Well, what about this though too, just to back on to what Melanie was saying. For example, if you have a single truck, they do a one-time event, let's say that's hypothetically,
Mhm,
let's say we charge them $50, right? For
mhm.
that one time, just for that one-time deal. But they come back again, then we get,
Well, like Ryan always said, be careful when you open that door.
I know, but I'm just suggesting.
And
things.
so to follow code,
Mhm.
they would have to get a temporary vendor license, which is good for the whole 12 months. And yeah, they might think, okay, I'm gonna come in and test it one time
Mhm.
and see if it works out. And then if it works out, I'll pay it. But to follow code as it's written, they would have to.
But you're suggesting a potential change in code to allow a 3-day license or something to that effect. Yeah.
If I can add with that, what Councilmember Hernandez just kind of said there, the owner of the deal who had sent that email, she's not the first food truck vendor specifically to kind of mention having a possibility of, say, like a 3-day permit, for example. They want to come in for the weekend. They're from Utah, let's say, or another part of the state. They know they won't be back, so they don't want to pay the $150 for that 12-month license. Because they know they won't utilize it. So I have had other vendors ask if we have that as a license or permit option, a 3-day one, a week, or pay per day, but we don't currently have anything set up for that in the ordinance for business licenses or as far as fees go either. So that hasn't been something we've issued. So we've only issued the temporary vendor license at that $150 fee, even if we knew that vendor would not be revisiting Chubbuck again within that 12-month span.
I can see how that would deter some.
Yeah.
See, and that's why I'm getting at though too, like, I'm totally agreeing with you on that. 3-day pass, for lack of better words, right? If they come back again, then, okay, now we're gonna make you pay for the.
Yeah. Like I said, that's why we thought we'd bring this, gauge the council, to see if that's something you're interested, if you want us to look at those types.
You want to write it up and propose something to us? We'll take a look.
Okay, we can work on that. But yeah, at this point, that's kind of where we're sitting. And like I said, it has come in handy. We've had the health department reach out to us and be like, hey, I cannot get a hold of this vendor. They're selling here. Do you have contact information? And we did have a license, so we were able to.
Can
even help the
I
health
jump
department.
in here? I think all of this discussion evidences that this is something that you're only limited by your own creativity in drafting an ordinance, right?
Yeah.
And so I think Melanie suggested looking at other places, other options. I think what our clerks are saying is that they are handcuffed by what the code right now says.
Right.
And I think Joey's done a great job of laying out the fact that you do have somebody that comes one time, but we do have $150 worth of staff time trying to figure out that license or whatever it is. And so this is a policy decision that we have to make, but I think the discussion has to be, what do we want to focus on? What do we want to allow and what do we want to discourage? And that's probably something where everybody's got to go maybe find some ideas and bring it back. Because I think what everybody's saying is the same thing.
Well, I'm
Maybe
hearing
what
only,
we have isn't perfect.
I'm hearing three things. One, look at the overall fee. Two, is there a way to deal with a short-term vendor license? Three, is there a way to deal with events similar to what we're doing with our public space? Is that a fair?
That's fair.
Summary?
And I think maybe give them some options, like something that will cover a weekend, something that will cover a month, something that will cover a summer, something that will cover a year.
With 150 as the base.
I like the way you think, yeah.
Yeah.
It takes them the same amount of time to process every single one of those applications.
It does, because the same paperwork, we have to get a hold of the health district. I mean,
Okay.
it does take the same amount of work.
That's a policy decision. You guys can say, no, we're going to bring temporary vendors here and it's going to cost the city to bring them here. And we're going to spend that and make that policy decision. Or we're going to make a policy decision. Sorry, if you want to come once, this is what it costs us. And that's you guys's.
Attach price is what you think according,
Yeah.
and then we can.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys have to deal with this, so you.
What's it gonna
present what
cost
you
us to
think
process the whole
fair
thing?
for us and them.
But am I not hearing
We'll do
that
that.
regardless of the time that the vendor wants, that the upfront administrative costs are the same?
They're probably similar.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Probably.
If I could add to that, council, I will say that initial administrative part that I would be doing on my end, and as well as other city staff when they review that application, that probably initially will be the same, because in my thought, we would require those same documents, same business information, have them supply their information, their health certificate to the health department if it is required by the state. So that part, I think would be the same amount of time, same amount of effort from city staff. But how we had kind of mentioned that 150 fee, right? Part of that is it's coming to recoup costs from administrative work. And if the other part is in relation to impact on city services, if this vendor is going to be in the city for, say, a weekend, potentially their impact on city services might be considered lower than if they were there for a full 12 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Depends on how
Right.
you calculate.
Okay,
We can consider that as part of.
so let's have a base. then-
And as far as like events, we feel like it's gonna take additional staff, because the street department's gonna have to review it, the police are gonna have to review it, the sanitation department's gonna have to review the sanitation requirements, the impact. Like the market by Patriot Square, there's got to be some sort of parking agreement, because they don't have any parking associated with their property. And so they're using private parking lots,
Gotcha.
those type of things. So we feel like the event fee is gonna have to go up
But-
versus. be a
Yeah,
flat
with those three guidelines, all this discussion can happen at recommendation to the council at a
Yep.
future time.
Yeah.
And that, like I said, we just wanted to gauge the council to see if you wanted us to go down that road.
Yep.
Before we went
I
down.
think it'd be a good idea.
Okay, I'd like to move to claims if we can.
All right.
Council, you have before you the claims for May 6th. Is there any questions on the claims or a motion?
I'll make a motion. We approve the claims for May 6th as presented.
Second.
Moved and second, roll call vote, Joey?
Councilmember Reese,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Yes.
Councilmember Heiner.
Yes.
Council, we've added two items. Hopefully there's benefit there. Rather than just a general announcements, we provided an opportunity for the mayor to report on items if there is anything. These are obviously not anything that we're going to take action on. And we've given the council the opportunity to provide report also. For me, I want to share with the council tonight quickly that you are aware of the change in the leadership at Portneuf Valley Development Corp. I shared that with each of you. We have interviewed and anticipate appointing an interim director as early as Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. There's actually a rural economic development conference hosted by ISU next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and we hope to have this individual be a participant in that conference. We're assembling a dinner Wednesday at 5:30 to welcome this new individual to the community with many of the business and government and university leadership in attendance. So if you have any desire to be there, let me know. I'm not sure what
That would be next Wednesday.
it
the
is
13th.
next Wednesday, the 13th.
If we have three, we have to post a notice of quorum.
Do you have any idea what time?
5:30 at the, what's it called? The, that's not what it's called.
ISU event.
The big one
Alumni
up by
Center?
Holt Arena.
Nice center.
The alumni
The
center.
Alumni Center, yeah. Many times.
I will need to confirm number that we are allowed to take. We're trying to keep it semi-small, but have the right people in the room to welcome this individual and start moving economic development forward. So let me know if you have an interest and I'll try and facilitate that.
I'll be there.
I can be there.
Okay, other questions?
I think if you got two council members, and that's probably good. You don't want to overwhelm them with our.
Oh, no, we want to overwhelm them.
I don't have anything else. Council, is there anything that either, any of you would like to discuss tonight?
No.
No.
I'm happy that,
Fantastic. Let's adjourn our meeting. Thank you.
thank you. Gay team. Oh.